In the world of darkness, there's a game called Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. Players are represented by two separate yet equally important groups. The company, Black Chantry, who writes the rules, and the podcasters, like the Water Dog, who complain about them. These are their stories.
He gave me a word that I'd never heard before, which is called impulse. The acting Methuselah has to give up the impulse of taking actions. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Reading Between the Lines. I am your host, the Water Dog, and today we're going to be talking about the rules update that Black Chantry just handed down. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you to do me a favor, if you would, please. Hit that subscribe button. It means a whole lot to me, and I really appreciate it. And don't forget about the Gulf Coast Roast. It comes up this weekend, right there in Lafayette, 3 days, with the big one on Saturday. For more information, go to our Facebook page, Gulf Coast Roast. Grand Prix event. All right, let's get to it. I apologize if my tongue-in-cheek opening doesn't fall in the comedy era that I wanted it to fall into. But I understand that it's really a coincidence that, a couple of days ago, we have the video on card text and timing and stuff like that and rules and so forth and so on. And then, really within about a 24-hour period, we get a rule book update. So I believe it's more coincidence. I do believe that this is something that they've been planning on to release. But we'll take credit if it actually did happen because of us. we'll take a little bit of credit for it. But all of my guys were laughing pretty hard. Asked me, did I see it? I said, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. So it worked out pretty good because what I liked about it is I do like the fact that Black Chantry understood that there was a necessity for these types of things, and they addressed it, and they put out an updated rule book, which I believe clarifies a lot of things and several of the questions that me and my play group have had about some cards. And so I just think it's helpful, and I always like that, and I appreciate that very much from Black Chantry. So here's the statement. It says, hi, we have been collecting player feedback on the 5th edition rulebook, Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, for several years now. And with the new print run, we felt it was time for a little update. No rules have been changed in the 1.1 version, but things have been adjusted. So hopefully the already clarified rules will be even clearer now. Big thanks to all that provided feedback. So once again, a lot of these things that I was talking about in the last video and some of these clarifications have already been out there. They've been out there on forums and stuff like that. It's just that if you don't know where to look or if you can't find it, you have a hard time trying to get that. And then, of course, language. It's just having an appropriate language of things. Now, the big one they talked about was impulse. But if you want to go and really see all of the updates, because I'm not going to cover them all. I'm just going to cover, I think 3 today. Because I just don't have that kind of time to sit there and cover every little clarification that they made. But if you go to their website, Black Chantry, you'll see all the changes. They even give you the page number. They do a good job of all of that. So it's some good information. And of course, the big one that we talked about was impulse, and that comes into the section in their advanced rules called sequencing. And that's what I'd like to read for you real quick because it really answers some of the problems that we were talking about with things like eagle sight and so forth and so on. Advanced rules sequencing, and I do like the term sequencing, by the way, because I use the word timing, but really order is probably a better way. What is the proper order? So I like the idea of sequencing because it does kind of cover order and time. So I like that term. If 2 or more Methuselahs want to play a card or effect, the acting Methuselah plays first. At every stage, the acting Methuselah always has the opportunity called impulse to play the next card or effect. So after playing one effect, They may play another and another. Once they are finished, the impulse passes to the next Methuselah in the following order. During combat or an action directed at a single Methuselah, the defending Methuselah first. During action directed at a set of Methuselah, those Methuselahs in clockwise order. During an undirected action, the prey first and the predator second. Then every other Methuselah in clockwise order gets the impulse until everyone passes. Note that if at any point any Methuselah uses a card or effect, the acting Methuselah again gets the impulse back. And so that's a crucial thing right there as well. So I do like the fact that they clarified all of that in that particular rule, and I think it's helpful. Like I said, they did a lot of rules clarifications. Another one that I thought that was really good to look at was playing a card. It says a card is played by announcing its effects, showing the card and placing it from the hand in the ash heap upon resolution. Sometimes a card will state to put it into play. You should announce its effects and place the card in the play area upon resolution. Some cards, such as action cards, are not resolved immediately. In that case, they are temporarily out of play between the moment they are played and the moment they reach resolution. So I like that one as well, just as far as information goes. The other big one for me to look at real quick, and the last one we're going to look at is the environmental damage. Because VTES is it's so unique, and I never really thought of it as being complicated until I really just kind of dove in and thought about, these are all the different things you have to think about in this game, because you got a master phase, which is an entity all on its own because of master phase, master card, trifle master cards, all of those type of things, out of turn masters. So the master phase is its own little entity, okay? And then you've got, of course, the minion phase, which covers just a bunch of actions. But within those actions, you've got things like referendums, which is its own thing. And then you've got combat, which is its own thing. And so I can really understand the how some people, when they first get into this game, feel a little overwhelmed. Because our game is a difficult game. But I still think it's the greatest game of all time. So there you go. Environmental damage. Get into this thing. This is the last one. Any damage not inflicted by a minion, either as a strike or by an explicit effect this minion inflicts, is environmental. Environmental damage can have no source, such as damage inflicted by carrion crows, or a non-minion source, such as the damage inflicted by a retainer. Note that damage that is not inflicted by a strike, such as environmental damage from carrion crows or murder of crows, cannot be dodged, since dodging only protects from the opponent's strike. And so I think that's very key to note too. So you can strike and dodge, you can strike dodge, but you still have to take the environmental damage. And so all of those things are really clarified. And so I do, like I said, so I think it's a really good update. The rulebook handles a lot of problems and situations that have come up, especially in my play group. So I do appreciate what Black Chantry did by issuing these updates. And so I'm looking forward to more. But I also like that there's some arguments about card text and stuff that I've also kind of seen here recently. I don't know if you've ever gone to the Hey Steve podcast on the YouTube channel. He's really, really good, and he's got an episode called RTFC is Broken, VTES Monthly Meeting, where he breaks down how card text can change and be simplified. And I really like that. I really like the idea that you can simplify certain things, because there's certain cards that we already are doing these things with, and just simplifying that. And so I do like that. I thought that was a pretty interesting argument. I thought he pretty much detailed that out pretty well. And so I would suggest that you have a look at that, because I find it very, very interesting. Because one of the things I always like is as much clarification and simplicity as possible, as much as you can get. So especially if you're going to be using symbols and terms, I think that you can then use less language if you're using proper symbols and terms. And so there you go. So anyway, new rule book, check it out. Black Chantry did a good job of updating, and I thank you for watching, man. Y'all take care.
Whoa, you watched the whole video? Hey, thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. If you like what you've been seeing, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Y'all take care.